Shut up! I just wanted to say hi to...
Shut up. Face the wall. Turn around. Turn around.
Reach out and take mine.
Yeah. And you weren't really sparring. You were fighting. We were fighting all the time. And guys getting dropped all the time. And that was just the kind of gym that I was in.
But this wasn't a real fight. He was pulling punches. He wasn't giving it his full effort.
Word is spreading that Joe Rogan just dropped his take on Jake Paul's rumored arrest, connected to allegedly fixing boxing matches. Rogan's making it crystal clear that no amount of fame or cash is worth gambling with your life. He's laying it out straight that boxing's dangers are absolutely real and never something to mess around with. Sources say Rogan thinks Paul needs to seriously think twice about his next moves before he even considers getting back in there, because chasing clout or paychecks through dangerous staged fights just isn't worth what could happen to you.
Jake Paul, you have probably seen some of the controversy he's been tangled up in recent months.
Rogan doubled down on his point that boxing will seriously mess you up if you're not careful, and keeping up this reckless behavior could end badly. He's also putting it out there that getting mixed up in shady or fake fight schemes could bring serious legal trouble down on any fighter.
Because then you can't think, you can't do things, you don't know what the fuck you're doing in life. It's like literally everything is the quality of your ability to think. And I knew that I was putting that.
Look, here's what actually happened. Nakisa Badarian just set the record straight that Jake Paul and everyone on his side did absolutely nothing wrong and never tried to fix any fight. He's directly addressing all these wild rumors going around about the Anthony Joshua matchup being fake, saying they're total nonsense. Nakisa's explaining that people online went completely overboard with their theories, even posting stuff claiming there was some deal for Joshua to go easy on Paul. He's making it clear that Joshua came to fight for real and fought hard, ignoring whatever fake arrangement people think existed. Nakisa's stressing that Jake put in real work, competed legitimately, and faced actual danger in that ring. He's also mentioning they're going after people legally who keep pushing these lies. For Nakisa, getting this message out matters big time for protecting both Jake's reputation and his team's credibility, showing everyone that the fight was completely real and unscripted, and any talk about it being rigged is pure fiction.
I've seen the script, rigged, this, that, and the other. Do you think now, at the very least, that talk goes away? Broke his jaw, went in there against Anthony Joshua. At the very least, do you think that you guys can move on from that? Like, that won't follow you?
No, I don't. I actually, our lawyers are actively going after a number of people. One who claims to be a lawyer himself online. I don't remember the name or the handle, but it was something that had like 200,000 likes. And basically this post said there was an agreement for AJ not to knock out Jake, but AJ disregarded the agreement and decided to not get his payday, but knock out Jake Paul. So it's pretty astonishing what people say. Your dear friend Lou DiBella saw him put up a bunch of ridiculous things and even said, Nakisa, go ahead and sue me. But this wasn't a real fight. He was pulling punches. He wasn't giving it his full effort.
And so for the people, again, just to clear this up, because I asked Eddie this question, I'll ask you the exact same question. Once and for all, was there any sort of arrangement as far as it should go this many rounds? Because that's the one that I've heard. Oh, Anthony agreed to 3 rounds, 4 rounds. Can you tell us in black and white if there were any talks of any kind between the network, the promotion, the fighter?
There has never once in Jake Paul's career been any talk of that sort, of anything to do with the fight being anything but a real fight that has exactly the same situation as any professional fight. And that's exactly the same thing here for the Anthony Joshua fight. It's just beyond mind-blowing that people would think that. Anthony Joshua was on record saying that if he didn't finish him in the first round, that would be disappointing, that it would be a failure. The narrative changed as we got closer to fight night and obviously post-fight, and I understand why, but they were pretty adamant it would take max 2 rounds.
So check this out about Jake Paul. Joe Rogan's already put Jake on notice about not pulling any more dangerous stunts like this. He came down hard, telling him to really think through these high-stakes boxing matches, making the point that no career achievement is worth dying for. Rogan hammered home that ring dangers are absolutely legitimate, and going after fake or risky fights just for attention or money could end really badly. Fighter safety and smart choices have to be the top priority for anyone stepping through those ropes.
Because here's the thing. Look at all them celebrities like dude from the Mighty Ducks, the little boy actor that got strung out on drugs. And all his fronts and all his teeth were missing from being on meth or whatever, whatever drug of choice he was on. There's no coming back from that. The people who like dissipate their teeth through drug usage, you don't get like a second set. So if I'm not mistaken, the dude from Mighty Ducks, somebody like he's been clean and they gave him a makeover and he has like pretty much fake teeth. So yeah, the teeth are going to be cooked. Now, I agree with the other part that Rogan was saying, but let's keep going.
Yeah. I think he went into that fight knowing that was probably going to happen.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the big win for him would be that he was even willing to do it and that he could do well for a little bit.
Yeah, and I've already expressed my thoughts on this. I'm not giving no props for a person who says I am a real deal boxer because I went and get smashed and got my jaw broken, but I lasted longer than Ngannou. But I was crazy enough to try. Because, to be honest, we're way past the honeymoon stage with a person like Jake Paul. You've been in this for long enough to go through fight camps, dedicate your time, effort, energy, money, spar with people. You spar with some quality names because you have resources and money or whatever. So we're well past that to the point where you just get credit for stepping in. You maybe got credit your first fight or whatever, first couple of fights, for coming from your background and, stepping in and fighting, but we're well past that. You have a box rec. You were being ranked by sanctioning bodies in boxing. So, yeah.
Stern broke down the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight with some serious insight, pointing out how every single move was carefully calculated inside that ring. He laid out how the whole thing unfolded exactly as planned, with Joshua's corner focusing on staying patient and controlling their aggression instead of throwing wild haymakers. Their game plan involved systematically breaking down Jake Paul, finding his weak spots, and wearing down his endurance before landing the big shots. Stern made the point that this measured approach represents real professional boxing, where winning comes from staying disciplined, perfect timing, and smart tactical choices rather than just hitting hard. Every single round was designed to stay in control while slowly taking over the fight. This shows how strategic thinking usually beats pure power, according to Stern's analysis. This approach didn't just win the fight, it also displayed boxing as a thoughtful, intelligent sport where careful execution and smart choices create champions and distinguish experienced fighters from beginners.
Break him down. He said before the fight, I'm going to break him down and then I'm going to knock him out. And that's exactly what he did. I thought it'd be all over within 3 rounds. But, when I got in the ring after, because I was shouting, just, anywhere, arms. I got in, he went, what are you rushing me for? And I was like, oh, sorry. So, but like, obviously he knows what he's doing. And actually now quite pleased that we got the rounds, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw you said that. Really random, I was on Twitter and I saw Jake Paul's mom said she wants to get in the ring and punch you. She said she doesn't like the smug look on your face. She is promoting her book, so I'm not sure if she wants, But did you see that? What did you think of that?
No, I was very sad because I couldn't have been nicer and more respectful of Jake and what he's done. And I think Logan's amazing. I think he's an incredible athlete. And I shook Jake Paul's dad's hand in the ring, And if I would have seen Mum, I would have said, all right. But I think over the years, we've obviously had our beef, and she probably don't like me anyway. And I am probably a little bit smug. I wasn't smug after the fight because I would have been more smug if it was all over in a round. Yeah. So, no, I'll give Jake respect. And, sorry, Jake's mum doesn't like me, but if she can send me a free book, that'd be fantastic.
Adam Catterall delivered a brutally honest breakdown of the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul matchup, focusing on the major problem modern boxing has when popularity drives who fights who. He made the argument that Jake Paul's quick climb in boxing has way more to do with his internet fame and celebrity power than actual technical ability or real experience between the ropes. Catterall pointed out that even when Anthony Joshua was clearly holding back his full power, he still showed incredible control, perfect timing, and accuracy, connecting with shots that did serious damage and exposed the massive skill difference between these two fighters. This obvious gap led to talk that maybe some parts of the fight were affected by outside influences instead of pure competition. Stories started going around that Jake Paul supposedly tried to control or fix how the fight played out to keep himself safer and look better, which brings up bigger worries about celebrity boxing putting on a show instead of being real. Ketterall's comments highlight how today's hype-focused fights can mess with competitive honesty, making it all about entertainment and marketing instead of talent, game plans, and the real principles that make professional boxing what it is.
Thinking, for my own credibility, I've got to knock you out, but I've got to try and knock you out where I'm not hurting you as much as what I could if I unleashed. Yeah. And with the punch you said that he landed, it's not his best punch, it's his most powerful punch, right? Yep. And he's shattered his jaw in 2 places, right? So Anthony Joshua gets his 70 million, whatever it is. But I think he's sitting there thinking, thank God for that. Thank God. On a human level, I've come out, all right, I've sort of, not reputation, but I haven't hurt him as bad as what I could have.
There should be an awful amount of people breathing a massive sigh of relief. Anybody that put that fight together, athletic commissions, like you said,
it wasn't a fight.
No, it wasn't at all. Like you said, it was a prize fight. It was an event. If Anthony damages him, he's got to live with that for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of stress to deal with. You know what I mean? So I'm sure he's bleeding the side of relief. The team that have put him in there, that have negotiated that for him, but the authorities that put that on and commissioned it as a proper boxing match, I've no doubt.
Does that go on his... Because
it's a professional boxing.
Do you know what? If I was Anthony Joshua, I would be saying, I don't want that on my record. But for the credibility of them putting the fight on, they would have said to him, no, we've got to say this. It's been commissioned. It's going to be a proper fight. And I found it... I love my boxing, but I just find the whole thing really, really unedifying. You said about get followers. You mentioned Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is nowhere near his level of getting like a British title fight or whatever. Nowhere near. So it's basically he's like...
Beat Jake Paul?
Well, beat Jake Paul. But so
but what I'm saying is that's 100. I stand by that, and I think Tommy would admit that. You know what I mean? To become a British champion is a very prestigious thing to do, and I think he would struggle to do that.
Absolutely. Sam Jones gave a raw and honest reaction to the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight, pointing out that watching this bout was tough, not because of brutal back-and-forth action, but because of obvious technical problems happening throughout. He called out how Jake Paul had serious issues with boxing basics, like protecting himself properly, moving his feet right, and reacting fast enough to Joshua's punch combinations. These constant mistakes created this off-balance feeling during the whole fight, showing just how big the gap was in experience and skill level. People watching noticed that some parts almost looked planned out, like the action was being quietly controlled to keep both guys from getting hurt too badly. Even though Jake Paul definitely trained hard, Jones suggested that the huge difference in talent and ring smarts, plus possible signs of scripted timing, made for a viewing experience that felt weird for anyone expecting real competitive drama. This fight really showed the problems with mixing celebrity status with professional boxing, demonstrating how putting on a show can sometimes push aside skill and realness, making fans wonder about the legitimacy of fights where performance and entertainment come together so obviously.
Action to Anthony Joshua knocking out and breaking Jake Paul's jaw. Just talk to me right now about the fight itself and then we'll break it down.
Bit of a crap fight, if we're all honest. It was like watching Jaws 2 when all the kids went out on their boats and they were in the middle of the sea and the shark was just surrounding the boat, just like that's what it was like. It was just like a shark circling its prey and just like it was like nibbling and eventually got him. But Jake Paul showed big plums in there, no matter what anybody says about him, because I've seen people say, yeah, he went in there to survive. Yeah, okay, he went in there to survive. He's a guy that's been boxing a couple of years against a unified champion of the world who can really punch. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best fight. It just wasn't the best thing to watch, was it? Like it was just, it weren't great. I just want to see now Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua. I think at the stages of their careers they're at, AJ and Tyson Fury. We don't need to see interim fights, Andrew. We don't need to see interim fights because they're just potential banana skins. We want to see two of the best heavyweights of this era going at it, and we need to see
what's coming up next. After everything went down, Luke Thomas stepped up as someone willing to challenge all the positive buzz Jake Paul was getting. He stressed that getting in the ring with a world-level fighter like Anthony Joshua shouldn't get praised without some serious questions being asked. Thomas argued that all the hype around this match covered up the real dangers that were happening. People watching started thinking that Paul's confidence before the fight, mixed with some of his behavior during it, matched up with rumors that he tried to script parts of what happened. Thomas warned that celebrating these kinds of fights creates a bad example, making it harder to tell the difference between entertainment and actual competition.
Kind of feeds into the story of him being perhaps a little bit better than we sometimes think, although I don't really co-sign on that. Let me make the point. The first point is, I think people are overreacting a little bit. A little bit. People were suggesting when I got on social media that this was like the biggest farce they'd ever seen in their life, and that this was, how could he fight like this, and this was a disaster, and Joshua should have got him out there earlier. There is probably some evidence to suggest that I don't think Joshua was carrying him in the sense of, hey, they coordinated this ahead of time. But was Joshua really stepping on the gas? No, I don't think he was really stepping on the gas. There were times I think he clearly pulled his punches, partly because Jake was squirmy and rotating on the outside. Also in part because I think, as I indicated on Friday, he's watching this guy with pretty bad footwork. He was literally tripping over himself, and he realized he just can't keep this up. So there was that. But people were acting like, how could this be? How could this have happened? Guys, on Friday's MK, and then before that, earlier in the week on Submission Radio, they asked me on Submission Radio, how do you think he's going to fight? And I'm like, he's going to run. And they're like, you don't think he's going to clinch? I'm like, okay, he'll clinch at times, but then the rest of the time he's going to run. What other way was this going to go? What other way was this?
This is as far as things were ever going to go. Chael Sonnen came out swinging with harsh criticism about this matchup, making it clear that fights like this are way too dangerous to happen under normal situations. He described what happened as feeling less like real boxing competition and more like a fight for survival, where both physical safety and reputation were at serious risk. Sonnen emphasized that fighters without experience getting in there with elite professionals are putting their lives in danger. The rumored scripting by Jake Paul, combined with these super risky matchups, makes the whole problem worse. According to Sonnen, this trend of mixing celebrity culture with sports risks destroying what boxing stands for while putting people in unnecessary danger. Experts pointed out that Jake Paul's fighting style seemed strangely careful at certain moments, making people question what he was really trying to do. While some saw this as smart strategy, others wondered if certain parts seemed planned out to let Joshua take control without extreme danger. This supposedly lines up with rumors that Paul tried to influence how fast things moved and what happened to keep himself protected while making it as entertaining as possible. Listen, that wasn't even close to being a real boxing match.
It just wasn't. Jake Paul had a very healthy fear for his life while he was in there, and he was moving as such. He was staying away from him. He was running away. He was trying to get distance. Then he was trying to step in to win this athletic competition, and then he's trying to get out of the way so that he doesn't get hurt again. He was fighting. Then it turns to where he can't stay away anymore. So now he's got to go the other way. He's got to go forward. So now he's clinched him. Now he's dropping down to his knees. He's going below the waist. He's getting to double leg positions. He was fighting. These guys were Jake was fighting for his survival, and you could so see it. You could see this animal who's been caged and is just trying to make it through, not even kill its prey, just make it through. And it was incredible. It was really incredible. So on the back end, some of the comments that I made or that I had heard were so confusing to me. It was a very good competition. I will tell you, it breaks my heart, too, that Anthony Joshua can't get him out of there in one round. Dave Portnoy had made a comment before the fight. He said, I like Jake. I wish well for Jake. Of course I'm taking Joshua. And then Portnoy made his point. And he said, because I believe in boxing. This isn't if I'm cheering for Jake or if I think that Joshua's more experienced or better. I believe I believe boxing's real. If boxing is an actual sport, if it is an actual sweet science, then of course a guy that's done it 11 times cannot compete with the Olympic champion. Of course.
That wraps up today's content. Catch you next time.